Hey y'all, welcome to the Messy Studio. Come on in and see what's going on. Howdy y'all. Here I go again, engineering on the fly. If you've seen one of my latest videos, you'll know that I alluded to the need to build a shop project for my health basically, and that's an air filtration unit. So what this here air filtration unit is going to consist of? Well, let me show you. It's almost embarrassing, but I picked this squirrel cage. Here's the exhaust. This is the intake. I picked this squirrel cage up just before we moved back to Texas from Ohio. And yeah, that was 11 years ago. The reason I haven't put it together until now is because I just didn't have room. Well, I didn't get a chance to do it in Ohio, to build it in Ohio, because I moved right after I got it. And then we got here and I didn't have room for it. I just did not have room to put anything like this up in the old shop. I do have room here. I'm gonna hang it on the wall. I'm gonna hang it on the ceiling in between my two LED lights that I hung not long ago. First thing I gotta do is build a filter unit for it and then come up with a way to figure out how I wanna mount it. Do I want this to blow? So I don't know, I'll have to figure out the logistics of that. But the first thing I gotta do, I found the closest filters I could find to this are these 12 by 24s. The top of the unit itself measures overall 12 by 17. So 12 by 24 should be good. I'm gonna put 2 filters in it. I'm gonna start with these. I may upgrade to better filters later. It's a cool little box. It came pre-wired with a switch. I need to put a new switch cover on it and a plug, so I can just plug it into the wall, into the ceiling, or into the surge protector that I've got my table saw running off of. I don't know. We'll see. I'll figure it out. So first thing I got to do is get the box built to house the filters, with a functional door on it so they're easy to change. So let's get to it. Got some 3/4 inch plywood left over from the mantle. So I'm going to cut that, basically cut it in half. You notice the precision I'm using here. I haven't even cut these to length yet. I'll mark these to final dimension. I'll do this other thing. Now this other thing is this. These are going to go here, and I'm leaving the overlap on purpose because the frame on both sides has got to be open to let the air go through. So I'm going to basically do this. So I've got to square these pieces up, cut them to length after I figure out what that length is. 13 1/4. So I need to cut these to 13 1/4. One of them will be my door. I'm using strictly scrap for this because that's really all I need.
Alright. Hey,
See that? That's gonna work. What are you doing, Pooch? That's my girl. That's my girl. Yeah, that's my girl. You keeping me safe? That will work. Ain't rocket science. Well, you stupid. I just cut some more of the trim pieces to length. I used my miter saw. I thought I hit the record button. I didn't. Sorry. Now it's time to go in. Got to start cooking dinner for the wife. I'll be back out here tomorrow. Okay, what I'm gonna do, I've got these cut to dimension. All my parts are ready for the frame of the box. And I'm gonna use my Craig jig, and I'm gonna use pocket holes to hold and glue to hold these butt joints on the frame that goes around the outside. Okay, there's one. Now I'm going to glue and screw that. Okay, I've got center marks on my pieces. Again, this isn't rocket surgery, so all I need to do is line up the pieces, clamp them together, and drill some pilot holes. Now, what I want to do is line these, rub some glue into this end of this plywood, and let it sit for a few minutes. And then I'll re-glue it and drive the screws in. I want to let that set up for a good 5 to 7 minutes to ensure that you get a good seal on the end grain of that plywood. It just helps bind better. Alright, that's been long enough, I think. Hit it with a little bit more glue. So now it's time to glue these into place. Be generous with this glue. I want this to be a really good seam. It needs to be as airtight as possible. Let that set up a few minutes. I'll be back. Now, saturate this side. Let that set a few minutes. and then put the other frame on. I've developed a new skill as I've gotten older. I can forget what I'm doing in the middle of actually doing it. Alright, I'm going to let this cure up overnight before I do anything else with it. This is my door. I know it fits. What I will do, I've got a set of hinges I'm going to put on it. I've got to find a clasp for latching it, and I've got some styrofoam insulation that I'm going to glue on the inside so that it fits this and when it opens and closes. I've already test fitted the filters. They go in just fine. So after this it's set up enough for me to move around and work with, I'll build the mating pieces that'll attach this to that box. Alright, got this done. It fits really well with one exception. The pieces that I used for the bottom frame down here need to be wide enough to cover this up. Now, I could cut a piece to fit inside there, but it would look funky. I'm going to paint it so it really wouldn't matter, but I also wouldn't like it. So in order to seal that up, what I'm going to do now is make a frame, another frame that'll go between here and the box, between this filter frame and this box, that is the right dimensions here as well as here. I may well end up building an insulated box around this to keep the noise down. We'll just have to wait and see. So let me get started on that other frame. Okay, the box is done, ready to mount. Airflow is that way. So check the filter fit. They fit good. They're gonna look fine. What I want to do now is sand this up and get it painted, and then I'll mount the box to it. First thing I'm going to do is put a coat of primer on it. Give that a few minutes to dry, and then I'll come turn it over and do the bottom. Okay, I've got it all primed. I'll leave it to dry overnight, and then I'll put a coat of paint on it. Once I get the coat of paint on it, once I get the coat of paint on and it dries, then I will mount the blower to it and then look into how I'm going to mount it to the ceiling. Why white, Billy? Because I don't want to go buy anything else. If I had some green, I could do like Matthias Wendell and paint it Hitachi green. Okay, the paint's dry. I'm going to put the filters in, position the door. I'm going to put some insulation on the inside to cover this hole, so when the door's on, it'll seal right. Alright, I angled this so it'll go in easier, and I put these little tabs on it to push in against the filters. Looks airtight to me. Use this to hold the hinges on. I'll be back. I had to change out of my street clothes and eat lunch. And we'll get my pretty new shirt all messed up. Before we get any further, let's see how this works. Looks good. I like it. Makes it easy. Put the unit back on. I'm not an electrician, but I did stay at a Holiday Inn Express last night. But I've spent quite a few years as an electronics technician, so this is not that new to me. For those of you that might be wondering, no, it's not plugged in. I'm not as stupid as I look. Okay, time for the smoke check. First, I'm going to lay it down and let you see how quiet this thing is when it runs. Okay, it's plugged in, I'm not touching anything. Turn the switch on. See, that's pretty quiet. Got good airflow. I don't have a manometer, so I can't tell how fast, or I have no way of knowing how much air this thing is putting out, how many CFMs, but it's some. Is that too loud? I don't think so. I was thinking I might need to enclose it in a box, but the only noise is coming from the air coming out of here. It's really not that loud. So, here's my question to y'all. My air cleaner is basically done. My thoughts are, hang it up here between these two lights. That puts it pretty much over the workbench, and I think that's a good spot for it. It's right behind the table saw, so any fine dust kicking off of there will be pulled in. Here's where I need help. Do I hang it from the ceiling like this, and that way when I change the filters they just fall out? Or should I hang it like this with the air blowing straight down? Thanks for watching. I appreciate you staying with me. I'm sorry this took as long as it did. Been kind of busy around here. Had yard work to do and that kind of stuff. So come back and see us. Please like, subscribe, share. You know the drill. And y'all come back.